You wanna adjust it for us? How's it? I think if I feel off kilter there. Is it straighter?
Yeah.
All right. How's it going, everyone?
You gotta go this way.
You gotta go this way. Sorry,
go
we're
this way a little bit.
me go this way. Okay. All right. Here we go. Lighting is still horrible in here, guys. B&H is one of my partners, and they are sending me some proper studio lights, and I'm gonna get sound baffling. As a video guy, Ryan, I'm sure you're probably are you shocked you are in this studio?
This is how Taka does things.
This is I'm so you've seen so this is Ryan from Arcade Original. I have Lawrence from Cafe YVR on Instagram. He is our cameraman, producer, whatever. He's helping us out here, and this is all about the analog photography series, Film is Still Alive live show. So Ryan, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I haven't done this before, so it feels weird being on the other side.
Does it feel weird?
Should I stand behind the camera?
No. I know that's where you're most comfortable, but hey, it's funny because there's a mirror behind us, and you can actually see how we are doing.
Yeah.
We don't see comments right now, so I have my iPad, and you have your iPhone. You don't have your iPhone on you?
Yeah, my iPhone.
I don't even. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just give me a second, guys. We're connected to the internet. Oh yeah, I don't have internet in my studio yet. Lawrence, maybe can you like sort of curate the comments?
Okay.
And so if there's something, can you see it on your phone though?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if there's something good that comes in, you just let us know.
Okay.
And Ryan, do you want to look, or you don't even care what people are saying?
I'm happy to answer any questions, but whatever you guys want to ask. Okay.
One of the things is we didn't realize that voting ends, I think, in an hour.
I thought it ends in like 3 hours.
No, it was like 8:55 and it says 3 hours, and soon to turn 9 it said 2 hours. So I think voting ends at 11. So basically we are talking, and if you're watching this and then it's over, you can't vote anymore. So if you haven't voted yet today,
hopefully you're watching this live.
Hope you're watching this live. So yes, this is Friday morning, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is GMT minus 8 or minus 7. That's very critical though.
You're better at numbers.
So, but yeah, you have an hour to vote. So vote and then come back, right? And then you'll catch up, because we're not saying anything that important that you're gonna miss anything for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So Lawrence, just yell out if there's a question. But Ryan, we had an awesome time.
Here we are, the home stretch.
The home stretch.
Right? Even your mother-in-law's here, man. Like,
yeah, exactly. Maybe she's making us lunch right now.
We stayed, obviously, like, I don't know. You told your people, like, we stayed.
Oh yeah. So if you look at the credits in the movie at the very end, it's like special thanks. So my mother-in-law, we thanked her in there because she like basically babysat us.
Yes.
Made us eat.
Yes. Made
sure that we slept well, and that we're basically feeding and sleeping. I think that's the two most important things.
We were very well taken care of.
Very well taken care of.
For sure.
And it actually helped us with our budget. We could put more money into the movie.
It's true.
And so if you have any questions, guys, I think a lot of it should be towards Ryan, especially if you have questions about the visuals, because most of you guys aren't used to my movies looking that good. But episode 2 and 3 will be as good because Ryan will be shooting it with me, and hopefully we'll have more collaborations.
Oh man, looking forward to it. I am.
Because it was a really weird process for me, doing voiceovers. That was really weird.
Yeah. I know you felt, because I mean you're comfortable in front of a camera, but we had a very sort of, I mean we had more of a filmmaking process. Yeah. Of how we made this. Yes. You know, like we scheduled days for, you know, voiceovers. We scheduled days for time lapses. We scheduled days for, you know. Yeah. It was like that, and getting the audio right, and and getting the composition correct, and
everything I'm not doing right now.
I mean, that's why I'm here, man.
What was the one thing that I wasn't doing that you needed from me that you had to really police me? What was the one thing? Okay, because this is like, so when people see it, they're like, wow, that's beautiful, do more. And in one of the comments. And I'll remember some of the questions too. So I'll answer, if there aren't that many questions flying in, I'll answer some of them because I remember a lot of the questions. Because we had over 200 comments on the video and I have another 100 on my own. But they're like, oh, why don't you make more videos? Like, wow, you've kicked up your video a notch.
Yeah.
Why don't all your YouTube videos look like this?
Yeah, Taki, why don't all your videos look like this?
So can you kind of answer that?
I can. I mean, like, this was a labor of love, right? So it took us, I mean, how long? We got the grant in the fall, right? We shot for like a couple months and we edited pretty much all of December and some of January. So it took a couple of months, you know, like, and it's not just me shooting, it's like Taka behind the scenes, getting like all these documents ready and everything in pre-pro. There's a lot of that stuff that comes into play with making something this big. So I don't know if Taka could like handle doing 1 million of these every month or
no, it's too much. Yeah. I mean, even you and I and us not paying ourselves, and like it took us 3 months to create this 10-minute video.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of extra stuff. And people, and one of the big questions are, I already said it, but then some people who didn't know that I've said it are like, you should do a longer version. I'll watch, one guy said I'll watch a 20-hour version of it.
Yeah.
Right? But
I can send you all the B-roll.
Just boom.
If you want 20 hours of footage, I can send you everything.
It's about like 2.5 terabytes of space.
That's a lot.
But even if we did a 45-minute cut, at this quality level, with us purchasing how much, like we can say how much money we spent on music. How much was it?
I think we probably spent like 500 American or something.
500 US for a 10-minute documentary, just for the music. Okay, guys, that's more than what we've made.
I mean, there's a million different ways that you can pull music. You can get music from musicians that you know, obviously.
Yes.
But I don't know. I was sort of inspired by the music that I found on Epidemic. So that's who we ended up using. I played it for Take in Hong Kong. I'm like, what do you think of this? He's like, this is all right. Yeah. And then, you know, slowly we put visuals to it and so forth and so forth. And that's how the edit sort of comes alive, and to make a story short. You know?
Yeah. Someone asked, can you use an iPhone for B-roll footage?
Well, you just ask Ryan about that.
There's actually iPhone footage.
Yes.
There is. Can you tell?
Can you tell?
Do you know where the iPhone footage is?
Yeah.
If you can, you get a star.
Yeah, that's right. So there is iPhone footage in there, and a friend of ours, Paul, David Paul Morris.
Yes.
He shot that, and he's in the thanks section. We do have iPhone footage in there.
Yeah, he's also fantastic photographer, by the way.
Yes, he is.
He's crazy.
He's a professional. Really, actually, when I put our bumpers on the video, one of the things I thought about is, you know, we don't need to put the video on our channel, on my channel, because StoryHive already has it, but I want to properly link and credit everyone in it.
Of course.
And because just for that reason, I almost want to have it on my channel.
Right.
Just so people are like, who is that guy? Who is that person? It's like, oh, it's this person in at 2 minutes and 15 seconds, and they can actually go right to their account. So I'm gonna do that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, definitely, because you know, in terms of just straight out specs, the iPhone so I guess one of the questions people would ask is, what was your primary cameras?
We shot everything on a GH4, time lapses on a 5D Mark II, and some iPhone footage. Yeah. There's very little iPhone footage. I would say like maybe 3%, maybe not even.
Maybe that. Yeah.
Maybe 2%. But there's like a quick shot. I'll give you a hint. It's in Hong Kong.
That's about 30% of the movie. But so we didn't use glamorous gear.
No, like I just used the old gear that I had. I mean, like I would have loved to shot with something else with more dynamic range, and anyway, that's for the future.
Yeah, I mean, we put everything in the movie. Like we didn't like, let's run out and buy all the most expensive. In terms of equipment, I bought this. This was probably my most expensive purchase in terms of hardware. This is like the one thing. Like, I want a hard drive to not fail on me.
Right.
Because whatever because you have the 4 terabyte version of this.
Yeah.
This is a lacy, tough something, whatever. A lot of the YouTubers use it, but it's because you can technically they say you can drive a car over it slowly, and it won't. I wouldn't try it.
You wouldn't do that if you
wouldn't do it. But I mean, this is supposed to be tough. If you drop it, it should keep everything stable. So this was the most expensive thing that I bought for in terms of the budget.
Yeah.
And even then, I was just like, $200. It's a lot of money. And I bought this because I didn't want to lose footage. And we had double backups, and some things we had triple backups and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm losing my video here. There we go. So, we kept the equipment side on the low end.
Pretty minimal for sure. Like for Vancouver, I mean, like if you want to talk about gear beyond the cameras, I mean, we can talk about lenses and all that stuff, but you know, for the opening shot, there's a couple dolly shots in there, especially the one that ends up in the title screen.
Yeah.
I think it's a Kessler dolly, mini dolly. It's like probably around.
So that's when you slide across.
Yeah.
Right. You're not just like super stable and shifting.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we had a Kessler dolly for Hong Kong. I didn't bring a dolly, as I'm. This is my Rolleiflex. I'm just doing this. We didn't bring a dolly to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But we used a Zhiyun Crane 2, the latest version. It just came out right before we left for Hong Kong, and I actually needed a gimbal, so I picked that up.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of shots where you'll see it. And the most obvious shot is right before we go into David Chan. Right? It's like we're outside his doorway and we just go push.
Yeah.
And end up on a little portrait of him.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, we had some small tripods with us for the most part, but yeah, it was pretty much like there's a lot of handheld. I tried to. This is what I tried to do. I tried to compose shots the way a photographer would compose a shot. So, you know, if it meant like not putting Greg Girard in the middle, that's what I would do. I would just shift him to the side and kind of make the artwork like in thirds of what that perspective was, and I would put it on sticks. And I don't know. I just felt that this documentary needed an aesthetic like that. Like it just needed that. I don't know. I shoot as well too, but it needed like that sort of photographer's composition, that eye.
Yeah, well, I noticed a lot of your B-roll was either slow-mo or it was time-lapse.
Yeah.
And I kind of started doing that too, to kind of give it a cinematic feel.
Yeah.
And other than the parts where we're actually speaking, a lot of the other stuff that you throw in, maybe people don't notice it until they go back and as we're talking about it. But it really adds to the aesthetic, don't it?
Absolutely. I mean, like, if you look at slow motion, like on the GH4, it shoots like 96 frames per second, right? And that's pretty slow. I mean, there's all kinds of gear that does it even slower than that.
Well, the iPhone 240, I think. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's called overcranking in film terms. But you know, when you look at something that's slow motion, you're almost looking at a still, but it's like a still photograph, but it's slightly moving, so it has that. It sort of catches your eye, and I don't know. I like slow motion with beautiful music or inspiring music. So I don't know. I thought that would work well.
Yeah, it looked really good. Any more questions?
Did you guys ever think about shooting some B-roll on film?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
Super 8 or Super 16?
Yes.
Yes. Hopefully in the future. I haven't shot Super 8 in a long time. And I would still like to do that. Yeah, we should do that sometime.
Well,
for videos.
I don't want to give stuff away, but for episode 2 and 3, we're going to be working with one, like if we get enough votes. Again, if you haven't voted today, go vote and then come back. But if we get the grant, we've already contacted 2 major film manufacturers, and we're either going to work with both of them or one of them. But just as a hint, one of them has a new film video camera, and if they can loan it to us for what we're shooting, then we will have some film B-roll. I mean, because the second part of the grant gives us way more breathing room. So if we get it, because someone had said, I think he was kind of being a little bit, I don't think he was being mean, but I think he was trying to make a point in the video on StoryHive saying that, did you shoot this on digital?
Right.
Kind of like hinting like, well, it's just all about film. Why didn't you shoot this? And I kind of said to him, it would increase the cost of this video by 50 times.
Right.
Because 20 hours on actual movie film, 35 mil.
Yeah.
First of all, you couldn't carry that. We'd need a team of people.
A crew.
A crew. And it would cost us thousands of dollars just to buy the film, and thousands of dollars to have it processed, and then thousands of dollars of equipment to be able to edit, physically cut the film, and you know, the cutting room floor, that's what it meant, is when you're editing. And it would have just cost us $250,000. That's my guess. If we shot that 10 minutes in real film. So when it comes to photography, it's still relatively cheap to shoot with film. But when it comes to video, it's not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's just so expensive and cost prohibitive.
It is. I mean, obviously, like, a lot of people still shoot on film. Like, Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk was shot on film last year.
Yeah.
Did you see that? It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. I watched it at the Cami, and they showed it in a 70mm print.
Oh, nice.
Which is really. This is
like large. It's large format movie making. Yeah.
So I mean, it's still being done because.
It has a, but then we're talking about movies with $1 million budgets.
Yeah, of course.
And that's the thing. Indie films, they gotta shoot with iPhones. They have to shoot with GH4s because they just don't have the budget.
Yeah.
And that's why using movie film in the past, before digital, was only in the realm of Hollywood. And everyone was using Betamax, Super Betas. Probably was one of the highest resolution tape formats that was still accessible to the average person.
Yeah.
But other than that, people were just using regular 8mm camcorders because that's all really that the average person could afford to access.
Yeah.
And now it's, I think in a way it's even worse in terms of filming on physical film, because now there aren't that many labs being able to process the film anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if Technicolor is still in town. You know, I remember being when I first started my career in film. I remember being a PA on commercials.
Yeah.
And after we would wrap in the evening, as a production assistant, they would give you the film canisters and be like, here, drop this off at the lab. So, you know, you'd drive to the back of Technicolor, you'd ring the doorbell, and they'd be like, yeah, we're here. And then you like open the thing, shove it in, and be like, there's your dailies for the day. It's just like, everything I'm holding right here is. I wish you put this down. I keep on. I brought
this is the cover. This is the picture for the cover.
It's actually mine.
It was right, and then Camera Girl was holding it. So yes,
it's actually.
You want to just leave it right there.
Yeah. Like anyway, I'm just making a point that like I haven't seen 35 in a really long time, but a lot of people still shoot on it. Like I watched a couple of films last year, or one film. At the VIF, at the Vancouver International Film Festival, and we shot on film, and it won. Yeah.
So you know, in the future, we'll see if we get the budget, and we get some big corporation. So if anyone huge out there, H.Y. Louis and Company, Li Kai Sheng, Conquer Pacific. If you want to sponsor us, we'll take the $250,000 and make it a 10-minute documentary using real film.
Yeah, let's make it rain.
Yeah.
Why not?
Lawrence?
It was a film question, but have you ever used a film Piranha?
Yes.
Have you heard anything about it?
On my Instagram, the P30, the Alpha P30, I did shoot. If you look on my Instagram feed, I've posted a picture. And can anyone see my laptop picture here? This, can you see that? I don't know. I'm not sure. Can anyone see that? That picture there, that picture right there, that's shot on the film Piranha. It's very, very contrasty. It's ISO 80, and not that I don't recommend it. It's not. It's kind of like a 2-seater sports car, and you're a family man. If you're a family, like, it's very specific. So if you're looking for high contrast photography, you pop that in. If you're going to like the zoo with your family, I wouldn't bring this film. You have to kind of know the aesthetic ahead of time of what you're trying to get, and then you drop it in, because ISO 80 is also very slow. So even in a bright daylight like that, you're still shooting at probably like 1/125th of a second. So it's a narrowly focused film, and if you want that high contrast aesthetic, then it's the right film for you. But other than that, I wouldn't. It's not a daily shooter. I would put it on a B cam. So you have your main whatever Nikon F3, and then you have a backup FE2 or something, and you want to put something unique in there. That's what I would drop in there. Because as soon as it goes dark, you're not shooting with that ISO 80 film, and also it's not DX coded. So if you have like a little point shoot that DX coding and it can't read it right now, because I think the film is kind of still in the beta or crowdfunding sort of level, your camera has to have ISO override. And if it doesn't have that, it'll default to the native auto ISO, which is usually ISO 100, but there are some weird cameras that auto DX to ISO 25 as a default, which is really crazy. But anyways, so I've shot with it. I will have articles up on YouTube as well as on my website eventually to show you how contrasts, because I'll compare it with the Film Ferrania, the P30, the Selbera Pan 200, 100, Acros 100, and JCH Street Pan 400. So I shot all of those in Hong Kong, and I'll show you all the difference. So.
Oh, okay. There was a question about Gary Ho's camera that was in the film.
Yeah, I wasn't asking about it. What was the question?
I mean, just what was in the background behind it?
You can talk about it. I mean, you played with it as much as me.
What was in the background? Okay, so we're on the rooftop.
Yeah, but they want to know about the camera.
Can we allowed to talk about the camera?
Yeah, okay, so I'll talk about it. So at the time that we shot it, it was very close to production. Actually, if you go to Mint Camera's website, he has a section where you give your email address, and then he gives you a secret link that takes you to the RF70s. He has a special message to everyone. And so I would recommend you to do that. So go to Mint and look it up. And he explains the whole thing, but and he also mentions our documentary in there. So thank you, Gary. But basically, at that time we shot it in November.
November, yeah.
We assumed it would be already in production now. Right. But there's a couple of little glitches that he's trying to work out. And it is, I don't want to talk about what the glitches are, but it's kind of like software based, sort of. It's not a hardware based error. So once he gets that figured out, then it'll go into ramp up into full production. And so, and he talks about that in that message. So it is using the Instax wide film, and it's fully manual control. Aperture, shutter speed. I think he said you can control ISO as well, didn't he?
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, so that you can kind of push or pull, not even push, but you're basically over or underexposing if you're finding, if you're doing specific, because he also has bulb mode in there. So you can basically hold the shutter down and do night scenes. Right. And it has a built-in flash. He's also going to have a PC sync terminal, so you can put external flashes on it. Although I don't think there's going to be a hot shoe. And it's manual rangefinder self-focusing. And what else? I mean, it's a fully mechanical Instax wide camera is what it is. And it's leaf shutter. Top shutter speed at this time was 1/500th of a second. So technically you can safely flash sync to 1/250th, but hopefully you can sync it right to the maximum of 1/500th. And that's pretty much all I know. There's more information at the Mint website, so you have to go there and check it out.
So there's a sync cable?
On the side, yeah.
That's cool.
So what you have to do is get a flash bracket. You can buy those at a camera shop for like an Optex one for like $12. They're not that expensive. You know, it looks like an L. Yeah. You attach it to the bottom of the tripod collar and then put another flash, and that flash has to have a sync in. Yeah. And if it doesn't, you can buy a hot shoe with a sync in on the side. So if your flash doesn't have it, you can still add it. Yeah. And then you can use it that way.
Yeah. So you can go to Strobe's.
Yeah, you can go if you have a full
studio, right?
You can just pop it straight in. You can
really
pop
cool.
that flash.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah, so it's a really cool camera, and Gary's a little bit disappointed that it's not ready at this time. But I mean, he is, and he explains it in his thing where it's like, I'm a private company. People have tried to fund us, but he's like, no external money. No funding, no crowdfunding. I said, why don't you crowdfund? Why don't you do pre-production? He's like, no, because I don't want to people that don't, to crowdfund and then it doesn't work out. Right. He's like, no, I don't want to take people's money. So he's a very honorable guy. Like he's like, so this is coming out of his own pocket. His own pocket. He has maybe 12 employees. He has to pay them on time every week. And so, I mean, he's quite a. I always say Gary could be working at Apple. He could be working at Amazon.
Yeah.
He could be working at Facebook. They would love a guy like Gary.
Yeah, he's very kind of like meticulous with.
He thinks outside the box too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and because of that, I really respect him a lot. And yeah, go there and support Mint. Although you can't just give him money because he doesn't want it. He doesn't want your pre-production
Hey, Gary.
crowdfund. Hey Gary.
Saying hi to Kitty.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys get the grant for the next episodes, would it have the same timer restriction or 10
Yeah,
minutes,
we
or-
don't know that.
I actually don't know that.
Yeah.
Maybe it won't because
Well, it's a web series,
I know,
though, and it's
but-
going to be showing on their StoryHive.
I know, but they dictated the number of episodes.
That's true.
Well, sorry, they didn't dictate it.
We had to choose,
We
but
had to
then we had to
choose.
tell them ahead of time what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so we could have said 10 episodes. I think they put a cap at 10. So we had to pick as we were
Can you
applying.
imagine us shooting 10 of
I know.
these?
Minimum was 3 for a web series. So I picked the minimum, thinking if we needed an extra episode, we can ask for it.
Yeah.
Or if we committed ourselves to 4 and we had no content, there's no way we would have no content.
Yeah.
But then we'd be committed to 4. So I put minimum 3. We are okay. This is the problem we have already with episode 1, and I think this is, other than Gary's camera, the next question was about how short the video was,
Right.
and how everyone wanted it longer.
Right.
And so that you guys know, the StoryHive forced the 10 minutes. No one, of all the 30 of us, no one was allowed to go beyond 30.
Exactly.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
A lot of the videos a little bit over. It's because of the bumpers.
Yeah.
The beginning and the end, they have to tell us StoryHive.
Yeah.
But we had to cap it at 10, and they made sure it was under, like 10 or under. I think technically we were like 10:01, weren't we? Or
We're right.
right there, 10. But we do want to work on a longer cut. The problem is a guy like Ryan, who is the mad scientist of editing, would try to extend the quality of the 10 minutes into a. And you see, okay, so right now this is going to be the difference.
You do
okay?
the math. You
Okay,
do the math.
No, I don't even do the math. For me, I want to do a 45-minute cut. Now, for you,
Yeah.
how long do you think is a long enough cut for you?
I think it would be interesting to shoot to cut a 22-minute version, which is basically like episodic television. I mean, but that's television. It can be anything.
So when Ryan and I first met, so we've shot in terms. Okay, we did the interview with Michael Kenna, and we did a couple of the other stuff in Hong Kong last year. But in terms of, I did 2 videos with Ryan where he did the intro, the montage, and the outro. I think for Revolver Coffee and Layla, the food photographer, right? And when we first talked about it, I was like, I want to do 30 minutes, and Ryan's like, I want to do 5 minutes. So that was like the difference of the way we saw how videos should be cut, because you were used to the 2-minute trailer, the 4-minute trailer, and I'm used to like rambling for 45 minutes. So I thought I was compromising by saying 30 minutes, and you probably thought you were compromising by saying 7 or whatever you said.
Yeah.
So I like the long cut, and I think a lot of my followers like the longer cut.
Yeah.
But to be cinematic like Ryan, a 45-minute is almost, might as well be an hour and a half, basically.
45 minutes of like, I don't know. I think 45 minutes of something that holds your attention to the level of what we were aiming for with this 10 minutes is very dense.
Yeah.
But maybe we'll see.
And if we do it, you have to realize, like, Ryan, okay, so go to arcadeoriginal.com, go to Ryan's website. He should have a YouTube channel. But if you look at his clientele, I mean, your last client was Netflix.
Yeah, it was
Like,
Netflix.
not directly, but I mean, you worked with Netflix,
Yeah,
right?
I shot with Netflix recently, like EA and
Yes.
Electronic Arts and blah, blah, blah.
So, I mean, Ryan's a pro. Like, this is not a hobby for him. And for me to get Ryan to put another 100 hours to edit a 45-minute cut, in terms of the industry, I'd have to pay him like $15,000 to $20,000 to do it. So it's not like, hey, Ryan, can you do a 45-minute cut? I need it in a week, and here's a $50 gift certificate to Best Buy. Like, I don't expect you to do it. And even if he said, I'll do it, I'm like, no, you got a wife, you got 2 kids, you got a mortgage. I don't want you to do it. We would need another $50,000 really to cut a movie. Like we have enough footage, 20 hours, to actually do a
We have a
full
lot of-
hour and a half documentary with what we have.
Yeah.
But there's actually more work in post than there is in the actual shooting part.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I would almost say. I mean, how many days did we shoot in Hong Kong? We shot 10 days in Hong Kong.
10 days in Hong Kong, maybe 8 days in Vancouver. Actually, including stuff with me, maybe 10 days in Vancouver. Not full days, but...
Yeah. I would probably say almost the same, almost half and half.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like I you know, when we came back, I just grinded through B-roll and interviews and everything as soon as we got back. And I probably did like, I don't know, I felt like I did probably 20 days, 25 days.
Mm.
You know, like we just kept on sharing, you know,
Yeah.
and this and that. We kept on going back and forth.
Yeah.
And we kept on editing like right up until
Until it's due.
until Monday hit.
Yeah.
And I didn't, you know, like it's one thing to have clients and to work with them, and you're kind of like on their timeline, and you know you deliver up until their date.
Yeah.
But when it's your date, you're just like, oh, like I can sneak this in, or I can sneak this in, I
Yes.
can sneak this in, I can sneak this in.
I was kind of mean to you sometimes, a little bit.
No.
A little bit, because there was like, you know that half a second inserts? Like, I don't like it. Can you change it? It was like...
Okay, this is the thing. Take, his eye and the way that he sees things, and the way that he approaches detail, that is actually the eye of a filmmaker. So Take is actually a filmmaker, officially a filmmaker now. But I mean, this was entirely a collaboration. It wasn't just me that shot this. It was Take and Ryan.
Yeah, and I totally, I didn't even understand, like, what does the producer do? What does the director... I know it in terms of like a dictionary explanation, but now I get it. When a guy produces a movie, you're thinking, oh, he just sits there and points, and then the director does all the work, and then but yeah, I mean, you are my eye, so I'm like, Ryan, I need this, and then you put your spin on how you do it, and you're like, hey, what do you think? And sometimes we're like, doesn't work for me. Okay, I shot it another way. What do you think about this? Like, that looks good. And sometimes we would fight about stuff, and sometimes I gave up and thinking like, okay, look, Ryan feels very strongly about this. I don't like it, but I trust him, so let's just go with him. And other things, I'm like, no, my foot is down on this one. Ryan, we got to change this. And I knew it was like a matter of like a 2-hour re-rendering job to change that 3-second bit. But I felt strong, like, we got to change this. I just don't like that. We have to change
That's
it.
fine. And you know what? To be honest, I feel like we got probably... I mean, there's no, you know, you can always improve something.
Yes.
You know, whether it's a film, a photo, there's always something that you can be like, oh, when do I stop? And I felt like within our time frame, we got like more than like 95%.
I think so.
Of what we wanted.
I think so.
You know, it's just like, you know, when I cut something, when I shoot something, and I put it together, I just watch it over and over and over and over. It's just like, you know, like how a chef works in a kitchen. Just keep on tasting it until it feels right. And when it's ready, then it's ready.
Yeah. So like the short answer is we, even if the other 2 episodes are limited to 10 minutes, we are thinking about a longer cut, and maybe now that we know what it took to make episode 1, we will maybe shoot for the longer cut in episode 2 and 3 and decide on the level of production and the aesthetic, and it will have to be different.
Right.
Because we can't do a 45-minute version of the 10-minute and sustain $500, guys, for music. I mean, if we wanted enough variety,
American.
$500 US.
I mean, that's
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we haven't paid ourselves $500. This is what I bought. I mean, I spent more music than equipment, but I mean, it really costs a lot of money for us to make, and a lot of your time to cut it. So
both of our time.
Yeah, so we haven't even decided yet who's going to do the long cut. Because like, I would love for Ryan to do it, but I want it 45 minutes. Ryan might be like, look, okay, I can give you 50 hours. That means I can't spend time with my daughter, but I'll do it. But
you look after my daughter.
Yeah, or his daughter's so cute. She should be in YouTube videos.
She wants a YouTube video.
Yeah. But if I do it, people should not expect that level of production on that 10-minute. It's like it's Big Head Taco edit on a arcade original video. Like you've shot everything, but I'm editing it, and that's what people will have to accept. And me using free music from YouTube, not buying more music just to create this, because just to make it clear, it's not the same video with the same aesthetics and the audio. I'm not going to use the same music, right? Throw in my own music. People are like, hey, what happened to that epic song? It's like, I gotta pay more money for that song. Actually, do I have to pay more money if I play?
Yes, you do.
Yes, I gotta buy it again. And so as long as people are willing to accept that, look, it's a longer cut. Mr. David Chan talks for 5 minutes instead of like 35 seconds. It's, I'm using free music. I'm gonna use free stuff, and it's not gonna have the same feel as Ryan's edit. And I'll throw in a lot of my iPhone B-roll because I have like 5 to 6 hours of iPhone B-roll.
I feel like we should do a commentary.
We could do a commentary as well. We should.
I think it'd be fun to do that.
Yeah. We should. All right.
Oh, what was the frame rate of the video? I mean,
we shot it in 24 frames per second. Again, it was on a Panasonic GH4, but all the slow motion stuff that you see, like the birds flying in Hong Kong and all this sort of motion B-roll, that's like 96 frames per second.
So you shot at various frame rates on what you're shooting.
Yeah.
But then while you're editing and then rendering, you have to decide at that point what the consistent speed is overall, right? And that's during the rendering process?
Well, I mean, like, as soon as you create a timeline, you dictate that. It's just like,
okay.
I'm going to edit this in 24 frames per second.
Okay.
I mean, you can down convert or whatever later. But generally 24 frames per second, which is what film was traditionally shot on, obviously.
Yeah.
And what did we deliver in? I think we delivered in, usually they ask for, if you shoot it in this frame rate, you deliver in that frame rate. So we delivered in 24 frames.
Yeah, and we actually did have a thing about 4K. At first I thought, yes, let's do 4K, but in the end we decided not to because of just hard drive space is one of them.
Hard drive space.
And also the juice power to run your computers to edit in 4K, your timeline.
Flintstone, just.
Yes, and also the ability to punch in.
Yeah.
Right, so the Greg Girard, you shot that in 4K?
I did. I mean, like, I tried to shoot the interviews in 4K. Yeah. Which meant that, we could punch in post, which was...
And punch means basically, look, it's 4K and this is 1080.
Yeah.
And so when he zooms in or zooms out,
you basically have a different option.
It looks like you're changing perspective. You're not. You're basically just kind of cropping in. But it looks like we're using two different cameras. But with a small crew, it's a trick that we use to make it look more dynamic with the least amount of work, which is not having two cameras running.
Yeah. I mean, I would have loved to shot the whole thing in 4K. But I wanted some slow motion in there, and I don't have the gear to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And like we can run around with a red camera and shoot 4K and like 120 frames, but it's just more work. I don't think I could do that by myself.
Yeah, and in the end, it may have made a movie 5% better at like 200% more cost and 400% more like back strain. For like a 5% improved movie, who's gonna have maybe I say 5% of our followers would watch it in 4K. Yeah. Then 95 are just watching on their phone or whatever on their monitors, and they're all 1080, right?
But Tellus would have liked it.
Tellus would have loved it, but
so Tellus, if you're watching this,
if we get more funding, but with for the next grant, we're still not shooting 4K. Are we? Okay, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
So were there any technical problems while you're filming and stuff, or
technical problems?
Camera gear or SD cards?
No, I lost. Oh, okay. So when we got to Hong Kong, I'm like, Take, I want to shoot time lapses, but I don't have an intervalometer. Where do I go? And he's like, I don't know, but I know people who do. Shout out to Anson
Tang, Shutterlines.
Yeah, Anson. I mean, everyone was awesome there. But Anson took us to a photography place. He was like, hey, Ryan needs a kilometer. Do you have one? He even called Advance, and we went there. We had it in it. Yeah. Right. So I had an intervalometer shooting frames on the 5D Mark II intervalometer. It's a great intervalometer. I don't remember what it was, but it was cheap. It was like
no name brand, not the Canon brand. Yeah.
So anyway, back to the technical problem. There's a cable that attaches. I think is it a sync cable?
I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay.
I was busy shooting with the Alpha P30.
It's just a normal whatever. Like, I think it's a mini jack cable. It goes from the intervalometer to the camera, and you basically set the duration and number of frames and blah 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 blah. So I lost that cable at one point in Hong Kong, and that was towards the end of the trip already. And I went looking for it. I even took a ferry back a couple times, but I shot on the ferry a couple times. Anyway, that was probably the only real hiccup, I think.
For technical, the thing is, right? And this is my philosophy, even with my photography. Don't get fancy. Like, people buy new gear for vacation, and I usually say don't do it unless you have two tested before you go on vacation. Like, Ryan used the GH4 and the Canon 5, like stuff that other than the crane, the gimbal.
Yeah.
But you've worked with gimbals before. So other than that, everything you've used professionally for years.
Pretty much, yes.
And same with me on my end in terms of my photography. I grabbed my 9XI that I've been shooting for over 20 years. Things that, and also the Nikon 28 Ti that I've already shot with for a few months. So that I already knew my stuff when I got there. I knew everything, and also this hard drive. This was like new, but I had tested it in Vancouver before. Meaning I wrote to it and then I exported it a few times and just made sure it was working properly. You make sure, like you should have redundancy in case.
Right.
Because I brought all my Fuji stuff as a redundancy in case it goes wrong with your stuff.
I think we've had this conversation.
Yeah, so we had redundancy with everything.
Yeah.
We in terms of the footage, we made sure we had doubles or triples of certain things. I shot extra B-roll with my iPhone just in case. I brought my Fujifilm just in case, and I bought tons of batteries. We made redundancies everywhere we could, because if something goes wrong, we have a backup.
Yeah.
But most of the time, like, nothing went wrong. GH4 is an amazing camera. Batteries are beautiful. There was a small sensor issue with the 5D. You had was it a dead pixel or
there's one dead pixel.
There was a dead pixel, which you can fix easily in post.
I dropped that camera.
You dropped that camera?
I've never dropped a camera in my life. I've never ever dropped a camera or a lens ever in my life. And I was shooting time lapses. I think I was by myself, and I was in TST, and I had I'm looking at a tripod. I had my camera on a tripod. And I was carrying it over my shoulder, and I walked down the stairs of an MTR, and I saw something black on the ground, and shoulder got really light, and I went, "Oh no!"
That thing is my camera, and you had your Zeiss lens on there too.
Yeah, I had the 21. Oh,
yeah,
I love that lens. But yeah, I've never dropped. And I told you, I came back, I was just like, "Oh, I was so heartbroken."
Yeah.
But that was the only time. Never again. Never again.
So that's it. Those are our technical hitches. Yeah. Lawrence.
Do you guys use any post-production LUTs, or do you use in-camera color?
Oh, good question. So Panasonic, I pretty much shoot. I think it's Cine like D. It's kind of like a setting on the GH4 on Panasonics. I don't know. I like that look. What did I do?
But you did shoot log.
I did not shoot log. No, I didn't shoot log. I don't know. I haven't shot log in the past either, to be honest, but people say that there's more latitude and this and that, but there's also more noise as well too. So I mean, generally I shoot Panasonic Cinelike D, and that's pretty much it.
And then you watch your light.
Yeah,
you watch your contrast, you watch your shadows, you make sure there's not too much highlights, and you frame it accordingly. Am I correct?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Work within the limits of the GH4.
Yeah,
some people are always hunting for the best gear with the best specs, and that happens in photography as well. But in the end, it's like, or you could just shoot carefully and not worry about post. Get it right when you're shooting it with the right exposure, knowing the limits. Like, I shoot a lot of iPhone photography, and sometimes I know I can't shoot that the way I want to if I had another camera. So I'll find another creative way of shooting it so that I can maintain details in the highlights, blow stuff out. But it changes the way I have to shoot. It makes me more creative. Versus shoot everything flat and raw and I'll fix everything in post. I do that sometimes, but I'm still very conscious because I also shoot film and I don't want to get lazy.
Right.
And because of that, I'm always conscious of the limits of dynamic range, the limits of whatever I'm shooting with and that's kind of how you shoot, I presume.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the most challenging thing about the way that we shot in Hong Kong and Vancouver and just in general was because, there were a lot of different light sources. I mean, it was daylight.
Yeah.
It was tungsten. It was like fluorescence. It was just like it just kept on changing all over the place.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I tried my best to find something consistent in post. You know, I have all these ideas of what we could do in the future. I mean, we would go to a colorist and we would shoot raw and all that kind of stuff. But you know, for the most part, it was kind of like it was what we had, and you know, you just try to. We saw that like all the colors, like
we did. That was one of the things that we actually kind of like. I was a little bit like, Ryan, this is too orange. This is too this. Like, I don't like it. Can you change it?
Yeah.
And you're just like, Take, and it's like, I don't care. I don't like that look. And so he's had to go back and readjust.
No, but that's fine, because that's, I mean, again, that's his eye, right? So
yeah, color really. I mean, we both are very picky about color, but there's certain things that I was really picky about, and I kind of made him go back, and I felt bad, but in the end, it ended up looking better. Yeah, very good. Lawrence,
it's almost 11 as well.
Oh, is it really? Okay, so it's almost time to finish voting, guys. So again, if you haven't voted today, go vote and then come back. And we're gonna save this video, so you can always come back, mark down how many minutes this is in, and then you can check. But yeah, I mean, you know, we can just keep on one.
Oh,
if there's more questions.
Someone asked about, is there any update on David Chan and his plans for the future with his museum?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't have time to talk to him about it this time because we were so busy. But I'll be back in Hong Kong in April, and they've extended so the building he's in, the Champagne Court. I'm not sure if that's the name of the building or just the court area, or Greg called it Champagne Arcade. That building was supposed to be demolished, I think, next year, but they extended it. They're not going to demolish it for, I think, another 2 years. And Mr. David Chan said, I will retire when they demolish this building. It's just too much work for him at his age to like set up a new. He'd have to be looking now to move, right? Yeah. Because he always says, my store, what you see is 10% of my collection. He has storage, outside storage, like underneath the building and in off-site locations. And for him to have to, so obviously that doesn't have to move, that's off-site, but he has stuff downstairs. To move all that stuff, even his employee, that lady, that Mrs. Jung, she's been working for, I think she's 25 years or something. I mean, she's like in her 50s, I guess, right? Like she's not in a mood to pack boxes and move stuff. There's no young guys.
They could hire.
They could hire, but I think like, he's kind of comfortable, and he's not that ambitious. And his kids are like accountants and lawyers and like, you know, his kids don't want any part of his business, and so his goal was that if the Hong Kong government would build a museum, and I even said to him, or how about an addition to an existing museum, like a mechanical device division, a section of the museum. So not just cameras, but watches, pens, anything that's mechanical, and sort of the history of these things in Hong Kong, that he would donate his entire collection of cameras, which is going to be insane because he has over 100 Leica M3s, over 100 of them.
Just M3s.
Just M3s. He would donate his entire collection to the Hong Kong government, but they haven't taken him up on the offer, which is crazy. Hong Kong government, what are you thinking? It would be a mecca for people around the world to visit. Yeah, and then Mr. David Chan,
it is already right now.
It is, but he's only showcasing 10% of what he has.
So it's like, you know, when you see an iceberg, it's just like and then
I mean, he keeps on saying 10%, so 90% of his collection is hidden away. And if that can all be shown, and then Mr. David Chan on the weekends can volunteer and do a tour of that museum. So he'll still be working. Yeah. Right? I think it would be a great thing for Hong Kong. And so that's where he's at right now. It's kind of in limbo. And if I worked there, I'd let him adopt me. I would take over the store. I would. I would.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should. Lawrence.
Did you guys learn any new skills while you were producing the film? Like any new
audio
things?
Audio. I mean, you know, like what I do, like I try to focus on audio as well too. I shoot video, but sometimes audio is, you know, it's not as high a priority. For this, we used a Sennheiser. What do we have? No, it's not. It's a Rode video mic. Lav. for the interviews, and for Take's voiceover, we used a Zoom H6, which is great because there's knobs on it. You saw it. There's knobs on it. It just feels super. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it's fantastic. It's better than the H4n that I had.
I should buy that off you. I have the original H4.
I can give it to you. I can just give it to you.
Well, we'll discuss it later.
Yeah. The noise floor is a lot higher on the H4n. So it's like when it's quiet, you can hear but with the H6, it's a lot lower.
Dead silent.
Yeah, it's a lot lower. Okay, so back to
what did we learn?
Yes. Before that, what did I have? Microphone. Shure SM7B, which is what Joe Rogan uses, which is what like Quincy Jones used for Michael Jackson's Thriller album. That's what we use for Take's voice.
That's why it sounds so smooth.
And it's not like a crazy expensive microphone as well too. But
$500?
I think it was around that.
$500, yeah.
Yeah, but necessary purchase. And man, like I'm so spoiled with how good audio sounds now. I just like I want to mic everything like that, like shotgun mics, and I just want to focus on that more because it makes it that much better. They say that people will forgive what the image looks like when you're watching a video or a film, but if the audio isn't there, then it's kind of like how humans operate. It's like you can always see something properly, and if you close your eyes, you can still hear. But if you can't hear something, then it doesn't work out.
For me, this is kind of like I'm gonna get a little bit spacey here, but in life, I never feel that I know everything, and I always love learning, and I love being dumb. I love it when someone says, "Hey, did you know this?" Like, I didn't know, and instead of being like embarrassed that I didn't know something, I actually get excited because it's an area of knowledge that I'm not acquainted with, and it's like, whoa, I didn't even know that, and I'm like greedily start researching it. And so for me, watching Ryan and doing certain things and watching him shooting it and then watching it in the editing process and how you put it together, I get excited. So I've learned so much from Ryan of how he shot it. I learned so much, even like when Jeff Wong, it's not in the movie, but I shot an iPhone video of him doing a portrait of us using his A10 camera and how he processed everything through his Joe processor, and then like the whole process. I've seen it 100 times, but
I've never seen it.
He's never seen it, but even the little things about like I forgot about the wash. You have to wash the negatives first before you even put any developer in it.
Right.
These little things, and he talked about the tricks of knowing the temperature of the water. Instead of using a thermometer, he used some kind of a laser pointer that he can check. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you can check it that way. And I learned like 1,000 things. I can learn from like a 4-year-old watching them do something. It's like, oh, hey, that's kind of cool. I never thought about it being done in a certain way, and then I'll find a way to apply it to something. Maybe it's nothing to do with that. So a kid eating candy, and then I can apply it to how I actually take pictures. So for me, my mind is kind of, maybe it's too busy, and it really irritates my wife. I'm constantly like, oh, look at this knob here. And it's like, Taki, you're on the highway. What are you doing? It's like, oh yeah, I gotta drive. Every moment, like even right now, this is a learning experience in here, and how horrible the lighting is, and how I have to improve it next time. We are actually, I'm using the iPhone for this. I have the Rode Video Micro on top, but you need to get a special connector because the iPhone most mobile phones has that one extra connector to be able to control volume and whatever, and most audio connections only has the double. This is stereo, right? So you need to get a special cable, and then the iPhone 8 also only has a lightning connector. So you have to get a lightning to 1/8" try something, and then from that try something over to the proper lav mic. So audio should be better on this. Maybe it's a little bit hot, and plus my voice is very loud.
And it's tile floors, and
it's tile floors.
It might be a little bit boom.
Yes, so I'm gonna be fixing all that. So right now I'm learning like how to properly sound baffle a smaller studio so as it not to sound horrible like the way it is now. So.
Oh, before he continues, so there's a lot of downtime when we're shooting. There's a lot of like hurry up and shoot, hurry up and wait. Sorry, it's hurry up and wait. That's the film term. Hurry up and wait because you're always waiting for your turn to do something on set. Anyway. In Hong Kong, there's a lot of downtime, and what I learned during downtime was how much Take knows about Lord of the Rings. It's crazy.
I've seen him talk about it.
Lawrence, it's crazy.
I-
Have you
it was
made a Lord of the Rings video?
I can make a YouTube channel just on books.
Books about the Lord of the Rings.
Or yeah, it was the first book I read because I was in ES. Like I came to Canada when I was 4. I started kindergarten. I could barely speak English. I was in ESL to grade. Like they would take me away for half the day because back then they didn't really fail kids. Like they just try to like look like he's smart, but he's struggling with English. So just pass him on math, pass him on everything, but take him to a special class to learn English.
Right.
So every once in a while when I'm stressed and I speak quickly, I kind of have weird grammatical errors, and it's called deep structure errors. I studied linguistics in university to understand my ESL-ness. But anyways, the first book I ever read was The Hobbit, cover to cover. And then someone said, oh, you know, there's more books. I'm like, what? And then I started reading Lord of the Rings, and I was like grade 5 or grade 4 at the time, and I could barely read because the names. I could barely read the names, and I would perpetually read the Lord of the Rings book 1 through 3 over and over every year for like 15 years. Like every year I would just reread them.
Yeah.
So I just recently reread it again.
And the movies, you don't like the movies?
I hate the movies. I'm sorry. People love the movies until you read the books, and you realize how much is missing.
It's true.
But anyways, that's why are we talking about
Because
this?
we're talking about
Downtime.
Downtime. Okay. All right. More questions.
Okay, how did you guys sync the audio and then also monitor the audio levels?
Oh.
All the audio went in camera. So, I mean, it was basically a wireless lav that we used. It's a Rode. I think it's called like a filmmaker's kit or something like that. So it's from Rode. I think they're in Australia, and that goes straight into the GH4, and that's how I basically monitor. I mean, I had headphones on. And kind of watch levels going up and down. But for the most part, it was sort of run and gun with a lab.
Ryan did for what we did, people would probably be blown away. And this is where I'm gonna give props to Ryan because technically on what we shot, we should have had an audio guy. And you even kind of said it, we need an audio guy. I'm like, we're going to Hong Kong, we're staying at my mother-in-law's house. I want to keep our crew tight, which is like if you and me, we walk into places where people don't stare. First of all, we're both short. So we don't stand out. If it was John Lehman, people kind of look. It's like, what's this big, tall, white guy? But, we walk in, we just kind of fit in Hong Kong. And we could even, if we just shot in an iPhone, an Apple store, people wouldn't have flinched. But if we had a sound guy with the boom and, we would have caused a spectacle. Yeah. And so I wanted to keep this very kind of Sofia Coppola Lost in Translation, the smallest team possible. So because Sofia Coppola, when she shot Lost in Translation, she didn't get permission from the city.
But did she have a sound guy?
Yes, she did. Yeah. But she had to film. Yeah, but I mean, if you saw the size of her crew for a major Hollywood film, it was, you're like, wow. Like on set, on scene, there's like 5 people. And that's almost unheard of. Right. And she's doing the Shibuya crossing. Right. And they shot some of the stuff. They said they went to Starbucks and they snuck in a camera and pretended they were drinking Starbucks, but they shot some of that stuff that's looking down. The guy was like sitting there having coffee and shooting through Starbucks. Yeah. And so and that's one of my favorite movies. I always felt like, look, if we shoot in Hong Kong, we have to be as incognito as possible. And if we do episode 2 and 3 and we go to all these other places, I want to keep it small. I don't want to have a guy with the thing. I do. He does. I don't. I'm like, Ryan, I'll learn it because I want to keep it tight. Now, if we get like $100,000 grant to shoot an hour-and-a-half full documentary, we like you said, we probably have to hire a real producer, not a fake tacky producer. But I'll be executive producer and I'll boss the other producer around. But I mean, Ryan did all the audio. Like we didn't have an audio guy, so we were always kind of stressed.
Oh, shout out to Kevin Hamilton who did the audio post.
Yes, he did so we did do a what do you call it? A pass, audio pass. Yeah. Yeah, we did an audio pass after because there was a bit left in the budget, and we actually let other guys listen to it. And they said, "Hey, look, it's pretty good considering you did everything yourself." It was all in camera, and there was no need to sync because everything was synced.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, it's funny. I still tell Ryan that I think I liked his decisions of fading better than and that's no slight against the audio guy, but it's a matter of taste, right?
Yeah.
And so I like the way you rolled off some of the music as someone started speaking. I found that the roll off is a little bit fast for me, but overall he added the fluttering sounds of the bird wings, added the city sounds, and that actually really changes.
And you cleaned up a lot of the dialogue as well too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we did that, but other than that, it was kept pretty down. Like it was pretty simple.
It was just like lav mic to the GH4, and then that was it for camera audio.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it was like the voiceover was again on the H6, and Cloud Lifter, and then the Shure SM7B.
Yeah,
that's all audio.
It's pretty like we did it on a pretty. I mean,
it's not bad. It's not 100%
yeah
by any means.
Yeah,
I'm fine with how it ended up, but
I'm happy with it. I'm proud that we were able to do it on such a small budget. Yeah.
That's it for now. Questions?
Oh, that's it. And it's like
let's go back to Lord of the Rings.
No. Lawrence, thank you so much for moderating for us, and thank you all to have joined. So voting should be over now, I think. I might even try it now. I'm actually my phone is right there. Yeah, let's just see if the voting is over. Go through YouTube. If you go through YouTube, go to my not this video, but my video. Not that one, but my video. Can you find my video?
How do I internet?
How do you internet? There's no internet
here.
Can
I just do that? I just click on you. There you are.
There we go. So then you go to this, and then you go to. Sorry, I'm just gonna see if voting is over, and then you go to this.
Okay.
And let's just see what the StoryHive says. Okay, let's just try.
There's still 53 minutes left.
52 minutes. So you have another.
Look, do this. I haven't even voted today, so do that. There you go.
52 minutes, guys. So we actually do have a little bit of time. So it is till noon.
Right.
Yeah. So unless there's any questions, guys, I just want to thank. You know those speeches when people win the Oscars and they just go through a list of people, and for the audience, those names don't mean anything to them. They're just like Yeah. So everyone that's involved, you know who you are, and you know what you've done to help us. So thank you so much. For all you that are watching and voted, there was another show, Second Home.
Okay. Yeah.
They're in BC. Very nice. I actually do like it. I'm really scared that but you know what? If we lose to them, I would be honored because it was really well done.
Beautiful, yeah.
But I'm really proud of what we've done to celebrate film photography.
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful. It's like fly fishing. You know, to me, it's about the process. It's not about how many fish you can catch. It's about the process of catching the fish. Yeah. And so film photography is like, I have some people that are kind of very argumentative, like film is dead and why do you shoot? Look, film is not competition to digital. You can like film and digital. It's not like, oh, I eat Chinese food, I hate Italian food because I'm for the no, you can eat Chinese and Italian and French. There's no competition when it comes to food style. Photography is like, if you like instant, if you like iPhone, if you like DSLR, if you like mirrorless, if you like film, I don't see why there's camps. But this is all about celebrating film photography. And why would anyone want it dead? Because there's tens and millions of cameras that would be useless. And some of these cameras are so beautiful. Imagine like this just not being able to be used anymore. It's like saying a classic car. Like say everything becomes electric. But there are some vintage cars that are beautiful, and never imagine these cars never being driven again because there's no more gasoline.
Maybe driving cars will be a hobby.
Yes, and I think shooting film, there are pros that shoot with film, but the majority of people that are shooting with it, it's just they'll have their iPhone or their mirrorless cameras, and they also will shoot with this. And it's just a different feeling of the way you shoot. Just the process, like fly fishing versus gill net. You use gill net fishing to feed the village. And then you go fly fishing for yourself to catch it and take a picture, and you just enjoy the process. And so some people are all about like, I need volume. I need to shoot as many pictures because you're a war photographer or something, and you need to shoot quickly and upload and send it off to your publishers. And that's fantastic. You should be shooting digital. But then you want to shoot the birth of your child, or you have a wedding and you want to have something that you can remember by,
Absolutely.
then by all means shoot film.
Yeah.
And it's just a fun way of capturing images. And so really, I try not to get into the debate of film versus digital. Different aesthetics. There's certain things you can do with film you just cannot do with digital yet. There's a certain, you have to spend a lot of time to make it look like film. So in the end I say, why don't you just shoot film? It's just easier. Cine Still 800, certain films have a look. The picture's gone now. But there's certain films you can't mimic it, I think. You just got to shoot it. So that's basically my message. And hopefully, with enough votes, we'll get episode 2 and 3 done. And do you want to talk about the project or future projects?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for all their support. Like, everybody voted. Like, I don't like asking for votes, but...
Yeah, I feel weird too.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
But thank you, you know, because it means a lot to us. I mean, this is sort of our labor of love, right? So
it is, because we try our best to feature other people. Because I'm an avid film photographer, but I'm not. This is your cool brother.
I shouldn't answer this on camera.
Yeah, maybe you
It'd
should.
be weird.
It'd be weird. Yeah, I love featuring people. So if you vote, it's not about, for me, I don't even see about us. It allows us to share more about other photographers from around the world. And that's really my goal. And with this funding, it allows me to do things that I can't do on my own channel, which is have someone like Ryan to help me produce this stuff. Because without Ryan, the video would have looked very different. It would have been me with my iPhone hanging out with David Chan.
But still entertaining.
It's entertaining, but it wouldn't win the votes.
It'd be different.
It'd be like comparing a Michael Moore documentary to something shot by like Sofia Coppola. It's just like totally different. the feel of it, or you know, like Quentin Tarantino shooting something versus me. You know, this is my Quentin Tarantino. This is
Thanks,
this
man.
is
Appreciate
my
that.
cinematographer. And so if you vote, it'll help us to make episode 2 and 3.
It does, and then you know, like there's a jury, of course, right? But
Yes.
In the end, it's really like how much, you know, how many eyes can we put on this, and what is the reaction?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we really want to bring this to the mainstream. We want to attract, I have had people who are like, oh, I'm in my 70s or 60s and I haven't shot film in decades, and after watching this, I want to shoot.
Yeah.
There's other people like, I grew up with film, switched to digital as soon as it existed, and now I'm actually kind of thinking of getting into it. And then all the young, cool hipster kids that are already into it are salivating, going like, finally, someone's making a movie about the stuff that, and maybe they're actually like, no, don't talk about it. I don't want my mom shooting film. I don't, or maybe they do, right?
Yeah.
But I find it great that people are becoming passionate about shooting something.
Yeah. And it's becoming part of the conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of things in the world that you could talk about, and there's some bad stuff, and there's like politics and stuff, but sometimes you need fun things.
Yeah.
I think this is something that shouldn't cause controversy. This is, again, not competition to digital. I'm not under some delusion that film's going to come back and people stop shooting their iPhones. It will never, ever happen, because digital is way more convenient. But it is going to be a hobby style and a very specialized way. And like for Hollywood, it's these multi-million-dollar projects that they want a certain
Well,
aesthetic.
there are smaller indie, you know,
Yes.
indie films that
Yes.
shoot film. But again, like you do need a budget for that. Like you need to buy film stock, you need to, you know, processing and all that. So it's just like shooting on 35 times 24 frames a second, right?
Yeah. Any more questions coming in? Or okay, so the going way back to one of the questions about are we going to shoot any film for our film, we will try to. I'm going to work on that.
Yeah.
I'm actually working on shooting some film B-roll.
And I would like that. I would really love that, actually. The last time I shot film was in film school, and it was on my grandmother, actually. Yeah, and I cherish that film now.
Yeah.
You know?
So we'll give it a try. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much, and wait for the long cut. I will make like a studio video here and kind of talk about what we've decided on. And as well, more videos coming up, not just on film, because I reviewed digital stuff and other products, and more projects upcoming with myself, but as well as with Ryan. So thank you, Ryan.
Thanks, Taki.
And thank you, Lawrence, for being our moderator and cameraman. And how do you stop that? I think if you touch the screen, then something might pop up. What do you think? Nothing? We're trying to shut down, guys. And goodbye.